Hello, Umut here. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to make bookmarks and talk about the books I recently liked. This is the Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. She's a writer that writes crime novels, and this is a standalone crime novel. And the cover is truly fantastic. It's very beautiful with a golden spine. I'm very inspired with it, and I read the book and liked, so I wanted to do the bookmark. The book is a contemporary thriller, but it has a Victorian Gothic set and feel to it, because our main character, Claire, is a teacher in a school where a Victorian novelist used to live. She's divorced from her husband 5 years ago and lives with her daughter called Georgie. She's interested in writing a biography of this novelist. He wrote a short story called The Stranger way before, and it's one of her favorite stories. Her best friend Ella gets killed one day, and there is a note next to the body which says "Hell is empty," which is a line from this story. So things get interesting from there, and it's told from three perspectives: Claire, her daughter, and the investigator of the crime. And I won't say much because it's a crime book, but I really enjoyed it. It gripped me, so I would recommend it. It's being released just now. I just started doing my bookmark by stamping with a Versamark and a script stamp from Penny Black. I'm just stamping on the right and left to create a background, a little bit texture, because the book is about a story and a book, and there's a little bit of a script on the cover, so I'm inspired by it. The embossing powder is clear. I'm using from Ranger. I'm just heat setting it. The cover is black, so I'm using a black acrylic paint. This is Distress. You can use anything you want. And I'm just covering all my bookmark with this paint. And as you see, the embossed areas are resisting, so creating a nice texture but subtle. And I'm coloring the back of it with pure black. You can duplicate your design if you want. For the purposes of the video, I'll keep it simple and paint it black. And I'm using my favorite alphabet stamp that has a lot of options to stamp the title of the book before I do another step. So I'm going to use my directions on my glass mat to calculate the middle of the book, and I'm going to stamp in the middle of the bookmark as much as I can. And I'm again embossing the title because I want it to be crisp and neat. It's a bookmark, not an art journal. So that's how I like it. I embossed with a bright white embossing powder from WoW, and I did the same for the rest of the title, and the title is ready as well. I had these cut out tulips in my stash. I cut it with my digital cutter long time ago, so it's a coincidence. It looks like the flowers I see on the cover, so I decided to use them. 3 would be enough, I think. You can also draw it. It's very easy to draw this shape, so don't worry. If I didn't have it, probably I would draw it, although I don't have any drawing abilities. I'm covering these flowers with matte medium because I'm going to use my Faber-Castell Pit Brush markers to color them. So I'm making them non-porous so that I can move the ink that they have. You will see in a second. I'm just cutting the stems for them to be ready for coloring. I'm just showing you the book again. These yellows are golds, so I will tackle that a little bit later. I just cut my markers that has more or less the same colors as the flowers I see there, and I'm just mixing a few colors like blue, green, turquoise, and trying to replicate what I see on the book. I read the book in just 2 days because I couldn't stand not knowing who did all this crime. It's a really page turner, and apparently Ellie Griffith is an award-winning crime author anyway. She was mostly writing series, and this is the standalone that she released this year. I haven't read the other series, but I'll definitely give them a go. You will find the list of supplies down below at the description area as much as I can find them, as usual. Also to the books that I'm talking about here. Also, you will find a link to my book blog and Twitter that I use for books as well. So if you want, you can follow my book activities, reviews, my book hauls and everything from those channels. And of course, if you are a book lover, I would love to have a chat with you through those channels. So please do stop by. I'm just sticking these flowers with my matte medium. And the Indian ink, which is in these markers, dries permanent, so it won't move. I'm using my Liquitex gold ink to go over my flowers to give this gold effect that I showed you before. And I'm really happy with this because it's a little bit transparent, but it shines really well. So it doesn't cover the colors, but it gives a really nice gold effect. If you don't have this, you can use watercolor in gold, or you can water down your acrylics. So it will give a similar result. And I'm doing my gold splashes just to have a cohesive look. I will also make a little bit white splashes because I like them, and the title is white. Also, I wanted to use some gold pearls that I had in my stash here and there, just to make it more interesting and elegant. So I'm using the little ones just near the flowers. They are self-adhesive, so it's all good. And finally, I'm giving the hole with my crocodile. This was the small, so I will use the bigger hole just to be able to put my eyelet. And I'm using a gold eyelet to go with the other colors, and I'm using this gold tassel to complete my bookmark, and I really like it, and it's really similar to the cover. It's really a pleasure to read your book with a matching bookmark, so I hope you enjoyed as well. I'll just show you a little bit closer, trying to catch the gold shimmers from my ink and the pearls. So I will switch to the other book now. This book is called Bitter. It's a modern fiction, different from the other one. I really like reading literary fiction. It's a debut and I love the cover. I love the effect that I see here. And the title is embossed. And I heard a lot of praise about this book, so I picked it up. The main character is called Gilda, and she's having a little bit difficulty communicating with her son. Their relationship is not so good. He's getting just married, and she's really making an effort to mend the relationship that is broken years ago. And slowly we are going through her memories, the life she lived, the mistakes she did, how bitter she feels. It's a psychological analysis that she's doing in her head. And in the end, we learn why their relationship is not developed the way it should be. I read later that actually the writer took her grandmother as an inspiration for the story, so it's her life. It was quite emotional and well written, with a lot of family dynamics and a bit of history. I also enjoyed this book, so you can check it out if it's for you or not. It's out as well. Let's create the bookmark. I chose a smaller size for this one, and I'm using 3D Stress paint colors, which you will see on the screen. I'll just mix them or try to create an elegant design while I am working on it. There is a woman on the cover, so it will be difficult to replicate. That's why I chose only to create an elegant design that will be similar with the colors. I'll just use my hand to mix these three colors. Actually, I'm not trying to mix exactly in terms of blending, but to make it look interesting using these three colors. And I'm going to dry this first layer and see what I can do as a second layer. So slowly I saw that there is a nice design that's coming out here. So I'm using my brush to make it more clear. That's a wavy design with reds and the black. So this is the final result. I really like it. I'm using my powder pillow to cover it for the embossing powder to stick where it's supposed to stick. Looking at the title, I think this Tim Holtz alphabet set is an appropriate one to use, and I'm going to use my Versamark to emboss the title. It's a small title, so I want it to be impactful as it is on the book. I just stamped it, and I'm using my WoW bright opaque white embossing powder. I just clean the excess with my brush and here it is ready. To give the effect on the cover that you see, I'm using my Versamark pen to emboss again, and I'm using a ruler because I am using this pen in rectangularly in one part, and then other part I'm leaving it empty. You will see the effect in the end. It's hard to tell, but I'm going to emboss it with a clear embossing powder, and you will see the effect when I heat set it. As you see, I can clean the powder that is excess in the areas with my brush. Now I am heat setting it, and when I show you close in the camera like this, you will see what I did. So as stripes, one part I embossed, one part I didn't, so it has a nice effect now. And finally I decided to use again my pearls, this time white, because it's about a woman and I want it to be a little bit feminine and elegant. I used again my crocodile to punch a hole. I didn't do anything at the back. Probably I will also paint it black for the video purposes. I didn't do it yet. After I finish I will do. I'm using a matching ribbon, and my bookmark is ready. I think it looks really nice next to the book, and I love the effect that I did with the embossing, clear emboss. I hope you like it too. This is the effect that I meant and try to replicate on the bookmark. I hope you enjoy these videos, and if you do, please don't forget to hit the like button or subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.